Hello and welcome to the Paper Computer Games Podcast. I'm your host, Salman the Fish, and today I'm here with the man himself, Zach, also known as Paper Computer Games. Welcome to the podcast, Zach.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here. It's an honor to be here. This is an awesome podcast, and congrats on all your previous episodes.
Thank you. And for an additional, for an optimal listening experience, make sure to check us out on all platforms, including Spotify, YouTube, and Anchor. All the links will be in the description below. And personally, I would recommend listening on Spotify. That way you can turn off your device and still have the audio playing. But without further ado, let's get into this. So, Zach, anything recently in the PCG community that you're excited for? Any PCGs that you're making or other people are making?
Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff. There's so much cool stuff happening in the community all the time. Let's see what pops into my head at this moment is I just saw the trailer for the next game in the Tutorial Bot Adventure series. That's like the Scratch game made by Mighty BK, I think.
Hmm.
Is Yeah, the trailer just came out, so I saw that yesterday, so like, I'm pretty excited for that. I'm also super excited for the book that Compec Dev is working on. um he's working, well, maybe I shouldn't announce it for him. I don't know if he's announced it yet, but yeah, he told me about a book that he's working on, PCG related, that sounds really cool. Beyond that, I mean, there's a
Hmm.
video. Okay, there's a video I'm making. I'm super excited about. Uh, like that I've already written and filmed, but now it's just being edited right now. So
Ooh,
I'm
okay.
super excited for that. It's gonna be like probably like a 30-minute long video about. I'll just tell you, it's about all the gnome PCGs by anyone in the community.
Yes,
So
let's go.
yeah. So excited to see that one come out. I'm definitely going to do a premiere for that. Also excited to get back into PCG news. Um, and yeah, there's one other there's a couple of PCGs that I'm also making that I'm excited for, but maybe I shouldn't reveal those just yet.
Maybe, maybe not.
How
All right. So,
about you? Is there anything you were extremely excited about?
I mean, let's see. I am planning on like some stuff is brewing up in my mind about my own channel. I know I haven't uploaded in a while, but I'm
Ooh,
thinking up some stuff. And
yes.
let's see. I haven't really followed too many PCGs themselves, but the stuff you're talking about sounds super awesome. So I'm excited for that. And that
Yeah,
video, especially that you're making. I love how the just the gnome community is just grown so much.
I
Gnomes are
know.
awesome. Gnomes are awesome. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they are.
I'm excited for it all, really. So speaking of YouTube, what do you think about our little community on YouTube?
Oh, I think it's awesome. I like it's super exciting to see, like, and it's super surreal because it feels like just yesterday that I was the only PCG channel, or like the idea of somebody else making videos about paper computer games. It was like sort of, it was sort of like a pipe dream. It was like something you could
Hmm.
fantasize about, but it would never actually happen. So yeah, it's super awesome to see all these great videos, coming out by so many different people and doing really cool things that I never could have done. Enriching the PCG community. And I think Epic Worlds PCG has been really killing it, and just in terms of making like so many PCGs and PCG videos, which is really awesome to see. Is really getting creative, like doing new things with like lots of classic characters. Bringing characters into it from like different people's games, which is really cool. I'm super excited about the like the podcast. You and Sinister Productions have done a great job like setting up this podcast. So
Yeah.
that's a super exciting development recently. Um, yeah, like I love the community. I'm excited to see it grow more. I'd love to see more PCG channels, and I'm enjoying the ones that are there right now.
Yes. Thank you, first of all. Yeah, thank you about loving our podcast. It really amazes me that I don't know. I feel like what you're feeling when you say that you would have never thought people would have gone to your YouTube or your community and started making videos and all this, and now look what it's turned into. So, I've
Yeah.
got the same plans for this podcast. Like, I I was seeing how you were talking about you comment sometimes in the podcast comments and you say that you've been going on a walk and you were listening to the podcast, and I'm just thinking to myself, that's what I do when I listen to a podcast, except for I'm listening to like podcasts with like millions of viewers. So maybe one day.
Maybe
It's
one day we'll get there.
Yeah, we will get there. We've gotten this far. So
Yes.
on your YouTube, you've been doing I think one YouTube short a day, right? Is that correct?
I've been trying to. There's a bunch of days where I failed to get one out, but I've been trying to do one every day for at least for November.
And I like the style of them. Like you introduce like a question, a little puzzle, and you make sure there's like something so you can go off of in the next puzzle. It's really cool. I like it. I like how you're doing that.
Oh, thanks so much, dude. Yeah, like it took me a while to figure that out, but it's just sort of like I'm always trying to like experiment and find better ways because I remember I was like making the a bunch of shorts like last year I think with all the Minecraft oil and like
Oh yeah.
Pokemon Stop, yeah, all those mini PCGs, and those were really cool and those were like really fun, but I think like I wanted like when I started making this round of shorts I wanted to like find a way to focus it down even more so that like just at a first glance you're already involved in it. Like those other minis are great, but they require like a bit more setup. Like, okay, this is you, you're in this situation, this is going on. I wanted like a one sentence like you're on fire. What do you do? You know?
Yeah,
So I thought that was like a really direct and simple way to get people into PCGs. So yeah, I'm still experimenting with it. I'm still learning from doing it and also from seeing, some of the shorts that, you and others in the community have made along with me.
hmm,
And that's helping me make better shorts. So yeah, I mean it's a community effort, you know.
yep. I like how you make a plan and you go along with it. So if you viewers don't know, if you haven't made a short yet, it is hard. Like it is on par with making videos. It's just kind of shorter. So you're trying to get a person's attention in a few seconds, and then it's a whole process, and you have to figure it out. And I think you've gotten it mostly down, which is insanely impressive. Like when I watch your reels right now, your shorts, they're like they really pull me in, and I've seen the amount of views you've been getting. It's crazy. It's like if I actually was just scrolling YouTube normally and I just came across, I would probably actually comment and actually watch the video like it was
Oh
every other
wow.
short. So that is
Thanks
impressive
so
that you've
much.
gotten to that level of quality.
Thank you so much. That's so nice of you to say. Um, I yeah, I mean, I'm trying. It is a challenge, but on the other hand, I could sort of see it like because you're limited in what you can do, that also sort of makes it like I mean, once you get used to it, once you get into the rhythm of it, it sort of makes it almost easier because because you're so limited. Um, as an analogy, it's kind of like Twitter's 240 character limit. Like you're
Mhm.
limited, but that sort of forces you to you know work with like I don't know, I guess work with what you got, and then like once you get used to working with that set of tools, you're like, oh, okay, I'll just put this and this done. It
Yep,
gets pretty simple once you get used to it, and but it's yeah, I don't know, it's fun.
for sure. So any of you viewers, if you're thinking about making shorts, my advice to you would be to just watch a couple of Zach's shorts and then go off of what he's done because he's already made like a good foundation. and I think you wouldn't mind if they used your same way of making shorts, right?
Yeah, of course not. Like absolutely anything I make PCG related, please learn from it. Take whatever you can, and do cool stuff with it.
Yep. So that's what you guys got to do. If you guys have time, make a couple shorts. All right. So I want you to give the viewers some advice. So obviously you're a veteran, you're the veteran of PCGs, and if you were thinking about giving advice to someone who's just starting out in PCGs, what is the first thing that comes to your mind, like right now?
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is just like don't get too ambitious. Like a lot of people, they're like, oh my, like they jump into the PCG community and it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna make this game. And it's like, you have to travel the world, you have to do this, you have to do that. I think like, you know, keep it simple. And, that is, it's hard to just say that because that is something you have to sort of learn through experience. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, like if you can just like make like a 1 or 2 page PCG, that really is the best way to start. A simple puzzle, and also like don't get too caught up in beating yourself up for quality. A lot of a PCG, is the fun of playing it with another person, even if your art isn't amazing, even if you haven't thought out the most brilliant puzzle. A game can still be super engaging and super fun if you just kind of let yourself get into the world of it. Like let yourself have fun with it, believe in it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that's my advice. Keep it simple and keep it short, and yeah, basically um like believe in it, even if it's your first game, even if you can spot a million little flaws with it, even if you couldn't think of the best puzzle you wanted. Have fun with it, and I think you'll find um, you'll have a fun experience anyway. And later on, you can always build on whatever game you made in new ways.
Yep. Perfectly said. Uh,
Thank you.
I know that I know that as a beginner, it seems it seems like you're looking up at a mountain that's like hundreds of feet tall, and like there's like no way you can get to this level. Like you're looking at all the other veterans, you're like, how could they make all these PCGs? Like, how do you have so much fun making them? How could you make them so easily? I'm over here overthinking it. I'm over here trying to make stuff, and it just like I can't think of anything. Trust me, just do it, and you'll get used to it, and then one day you'll become the person that other people look at and you're like, they'll look at you and they'll be like, how can you do it so easily? It'll happen eventually.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, if you go back to my like first PCG, or my first PCGs that I still have available, like the Evil League of Evilness, I think that's on the PCG shop.
mhm.
It's uh it's pretty rough. I mean, like the art is like really bad, even for me, and um like basically most of the pieces of the game are just like straight up copied from Chris's games, but just not as good. Like if you look at like Chris's game Till Time Do Us Part, I think I took like a few puzzles from that, maybe a few from Relics of the Sea, but like if you compare them, like Chris's versions of them are just better because Chris like his games are so much more polished or whatever. But I played those games and I had a lot of fun with them anyway. And like, if you're not worrying about how good it is or whatever, like basically you're already there. Like it can look like a mountain, but it's really not a mountain to climb at all. It's really just like, just don't worry about it. Let yourself get into it and you're already there. It's already super fun to play. And yeah, from that game, like I started having more and more ideas and I just very quickly got better at it. But honestly, it doesn't even matter too much if you get better at it. What matters more is just play the games, just have fun. Like you can have fun right now, right this very minute, with PCGs. You don't have to wait till you get to the summit of the mountain. Like PCGs are for like that's part of the beauty of PCGs is that you can do them with like basically no skill and it's still going to be an amazing experience.
Mhm. Amazingly said. Amazingly said. Yep.
Thank
All
you.
you guys out there, take that advice. So beginners. So thank you for answering that question like that. I'm sure that'll be helpful to a lot of people.
We interrupt today's podcast to talk about the simple solution, the absolute resolution. When times are tough and food is scarce, when the weather is cold and your mouth is dry, there's only one thing that you should try. For all that and more, I introduce Sal's Soup. With many artificial flavors and extremely high fructose corn syrup, Sal's Soup is the perfect delicacy to quench your thirst and fill your stomach.
Warning, product is not made for human consumption. The product is carcinogenic and may cause extreme loss of memory and random bouts of waking up in prison. Proceed with extreme caution. Now, back to the regularly scheduled podcast.
Okay. Okay. So going off of what you said before, when you were answering my question about advice for beginners, you said that you should just like jump into it and just do it, and you gotta like try, and eventually you'll get there. Has there been any time in your actual life where the same advice would have applied? Like you just do it and then you just get better?
Oh yeah. Yeah, all the time in everything. I mean, it's almost hard to think of the best example because there's so many,
Mhm.
but yeah, making videos for YouTube. I just started doing it. Look at my first videos on YouTube. The audio quality was terrible. I didn't know what I was doing. I was doing, spending a lot of time, editing stuff that I didn't really need to be. I think like one of my early videos is just like me editing a playthrough with Chris of Ghosts, and like it's pretty rough to watch. The audio quality is bad. Like I think there's like a logo across the screen from like the demo editor I was using at the time.
Mhm.
The picture is stretched and like it's hard to hear us, and yeah, it's um it's pretty rough to watch, but I just, I just decided, look, if I want to like YouTube seems to be like the way to go. If I want to do this, I got to like just start doing it. That's the way to do it. If I had like waited around until I got the perfect formula, that would have discouraged me from doing it, and I probably never would have gotten started. So I just started making videos, and at first you're not going to get like a ton of hits, but I kept doing it and I got better at it. And that goes also for making animations, 3D animations in Blender. Like you guys have seen me do the like 3D animations in a bunch of my videos. Like I think the first like major video I did that has like Blender 3D animation in it was, the video on my first PCG ever made.
Mhm. Oh, that was
Um
great. That was a good one.
that Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, that was a huge project, and the Blender animation took a ton of time. And I was trying to basically learn how to do just like the basic stuff in Blender as I did it. But I was just sort of like getting through it, and it was through doing that project that I really learned how to actually do Blender. So if I were to do that same project again, it would be easy. Like it would, well, I mean, maybe not easy, but it would be like it would take like a third of the time, but
Mhm.
everything I know about Blender today, like I learned through just doing that. I just like I want to do this, so I'm gonna do it. And whenever there was something I didn't know how to do, I would Google like how do you do this thing, and then I would make the most of it. And sometimes there was something I couldn't figure out how to do, and in those cases, I would sort of gloss over it or change the parts that wouldn't work, and until it did work. And yeah, I mean, like you can always go back and improve it later on, but yeah, I mean, even at work, like using software to control a planetarium or creating just all the various stuff I've done there, a lot of it I didn't have to do. I just like, well, I need to do this one thing, so let me just try to do that thing, and then just keep building on it. So yeah, everything in my life, all of the stuff I try doing, it's just so much better if you just start doing it, like, and then build on that, do it a little more, do it a little more, do it a little more,
Yep.
and
Hmm.
I find it's actually just really easy that way.
You know, I think it's impressive to me how many things in life that could just become easier for people if they just do it. So I wrestle in my school, and
Mm-hmm.
a thing that my coaches say a lot is that the best way to get better at wrestling is to wrestle. And say a big company like Nike, their like motto is literally just do it. That's one of the best mottos you can go by. So earlier we were talking, like in the start of the question, you mentioned how you started off, and that really that brought me back. Like I remember watching your channel, and there was just a huge rectangular watermark that would go across the screen every couple of minutes, and that's great, man. If you guys go back and watch his old videos, I think you'll see it. It was hilarious. I love that. And
Good times.
and you used to record like all your PCGs would just be on the floor of your house, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. So you guys, like, if you think you're the only ones who started off like that, no, everybody started off like that. So don't worry, you don't even worry about it. You'll get there. So,
So true. I just
you,
like
oh,
what
go
you
ahead.
just said about wrestling reminded me
Oh yeah.
of reminded me just a random story that like when Chris and I were kids and Chris was taking karate for a while and I wasn't taking karate, but he used to like practice on me and I was just like
Oh
totally
my God.
defenseless. So he could just like get all these like jabs in. But um after a while, after like a few weeks of that, like I guess I just like learned the patterns of how he would attack and I just knew how to block it. I just knew how to defend myself.
Yo, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And good on
Good time.
good on Chris. I
Right?
do this I do the same thing with my brother. We always like I always try to do wrestling moves on my brothers, and it's hilarious. But
That's awesome.
yeah, so going well we're back in the past. Uh you started off PCGs around what age?
I mean, I it's hard to really say for sure. I guess I'd say like probably 8 or 9. But I mean, Chris was the one who really started making them. Like he just made one, and I played it. So
Mhm.
basically, I was mainly just a player of PCGs for that whole era. There were like I did try to make. I did make some. I did make some around that era. There was like I remember one big time I was like, I was complaining that Chris never puts color in his PCGs like
Mhm.
why don't you do that? And he's like it takes a lot of time and I'm like, Psh, come on, just do it. And he's like, you make a PCG with color. And I'm like, fine, I will. So I made one with color and I was like, man, this takes forever. I understand now.
Yep.
And that just totally discouraged me. I was like, well, I guess like Chris knows what he's talking about. He's the expert. So like I just totally gave up on making PCGs. I did make like a few more randomly, but I never really got into it as a kid as like a rhythm. It was only like many years after the fact. It was like when I was like um probably like 17 or 18 and I was hanging out with Pierre. Well, it was because like Chris had recently revived PCGs and he had created Till Time Do Us Part and played that with me. And that got sort of PCGs back into my head. And then I was
Mhm.
hanging out with Pierre and I was like, hey, you know what Chris and I used to do when we were kids? We used to play these games. Here, let me make you one. And I threw one together, and that was the Evil League of Evilness. And
Yep.
um, yeah, so that was like that moment because that was when I had a really, really good experience of PCGs. That was really the moment when I got into making them. And I had ooh, let's make a series and we'll continue the series. We'll make like Pierre keep having adventures, and then every like other episode or whatever, I'll like break away from Pierre and like cut to have a game starring a different character that is like completely somebody else. And that's when I made like The Last of the Zerelta. And then the whole idea of having like the series with Pierre kind of just broke down, and I was just making PCGs about anyone. But
Mhm.
that but yeah, I mean, like that's when I really got into the habit of making them, and I made a ton of them, and like that, and created the wiki, and it became a whole thing.
And say it's been a lot of years since then. And what like when I see people like my brother or my mom, my dad, everybody everybody has or they had something that they used to do, and it seems like most people just stopped doing it. So what kept you doing PCGs for so long? Like what kept you in it?
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting question, isn't it? I I don't know. I like Let me think. I mean, like we kept playing it basically up until, I was already an adult. Like I was playing it when I was playing PCGs in college, but then like, it I guess it was like a lot less frequent. But I always was like, yeah, like let's get back to that, because it I mean, obviously it's super fun. Like that
Hmm.
that's a huge part of it. But the other part of it is like it's I guess I was just so into the world, like I guess my imagination. I was just like, what happens next? Like, there's so many possibilities with these characters, like what else, what other worlds are there in this universe? What happens next with Zuvak? What's the past of Ginkis, and like I like even when I wasn't playing a ton of PCGs, I still would like go back and like edit the PCG wiki from time to time. Even when I was like
Yeah.
in college and I had like a ton of homework, like it was therapeutic to like, go back and, take a break from homework and edit the PCG wiki and like just
Hmm.
or just write something down, write down some ideas, even though it was also kind of like sort of a lonely experience because like legit I'm pretty much the only person who read the PCG wiki back then. Um but um but yeah, like after that, basically PCGs were just like fading into the background, and I just sort of like, it was just sort of, getting lost. We were growing out of it, I guess. So we were just doing other things, and I don't know. I just started to feel sad about that. I just thought
Hmm.
about that, and I'm like, wait, because I'd sort of been in this mindset, like, yeah, we haven't been playing PCGs as much, but we're gonna get back to it when we have more time.
Yeah.
Pardon me. But like, but yeah, so I always had that in my mind. But at some point, you realize, like, wait a second, we're not getting back to it. We're drifting farther and farther away from it. Like, wait, so is this honestly the end of PCGs? And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, yeah, totally. I mean, we're all older now. We all have jobs now. Like, we're gonna as time goes on, we're gonna be less and less likely to want to play PCGs. And then I thought of like, Balzac Globotron, the PCG that, the massive PCG that I made back in the day. Like at that
Yeah.
time, Chris had not finished it. So, I said to Chris, like, hey, uh, let's actually finish Balzac Globotron. I mean, like you beat like halfway through it. You're pretty close to finishing it. Why don't we just finish it, for old time's sake? But and
Hmm.
Chris was like, yeah, okay, whatever. So, um, that was sort of what got us back into it. In fact, like even when I said like let's just finish Balzac Globotron, in the back of my head I was like, let's find a way to like get us back into PCGs overall. Like
Even.
cuz cuz like after like cuz like I had always had ideas for what I wanted to do after Balzac Globotron. I had always been super excited about the idea for Zuvak, the life and times of a clown on a stick.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, I wanted to like get through Balzac and then make that PCG. So I was like, well, I'm gonna at least do that. And then after like Balzac Globotron took a while to finish. We started like playing it every week or every other week, and it was fun. And we finally like got to the end of it, and we brought Ari into it. So it was like a 2-player PCG for a while there, which was pretty
Nice.
sweet. And after that, I finally beat it, and then Chris actually, I guess, was inspired to make a PCG, and he made Ghosts, which was like the best thing ever.
Hmm.
So So yeah, from there, that's when I had the idea for the YouTube and everything else. So yeah, um, as of right now, I think like to bring it back to your original question, like what keeps me, going with it. Certainly, the community helps a lot. I mean, like that original feeling of like, oh yeah, I didn't say that. Like it's a really strong feeling of wanting like all these worlds and all these games that we'd created not to just like be forgotten. I wanted that to continue. It felt wrong for like, Zuvak and Tutorialbot and
Yeah,
Ginkus and just all of those guys to just like fade into oblivion and like we're the only ones who ever experienced them and then just like dies with us, and that didn't feel right to me. So I just really wanted to keep that going. But yeah, beyond that, the community a lot
mhm,
really helps me to keep to keep going with it because it's you guys are always coming up with new awesome stuff, and there's so much cool stuff to engage with, and like you guys like want to see stuff that I put out there, which is freaking amazing. And yeah, so yeah, the community is super inspiring, and yeah, it's I don't know, it's been a journey.
yeah. I, I really, really respect your resolve and your motivation, and I feel you on like like I feel you on a deep level where there's just stuff in your life that you've worked so hard on, you just don't want to let it go. Like you just don't. And
Yeah,
you'll do
man.
anything to let it go on. And this is one of those things for you. For me personally, PCGs, I've always been in them. There's been times where I haven't like made any PCGs or anything like that, but I don't have any plans to leave or any plans to not sort of stop making PCGs. Like I'm sure one day when I'm older, I'll just be like, I'm bored. I'm just gonna make a PCG and play it with like my grandson or something. That'll be
Yes.
that would be hilarious. That would be so hilarious.
That'd be awesome.
Imagine like imagine just somebody in the PCG community make like starts playing with their grandson and their grandson starts making PCGs. That'd be so awesome.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
What an idea. That's hard to imagine, but
We'll get there. We'll get
uh,
there, people.
yeah, we'll
Right?
get there.
That actually
Yeah,
that
man.
hey, you, that grandson that I'm talking about right now, yeah, you in the from the future, if you're listening to this right now, talk about you. Yep.
Hi, grandson.
That's the plan. All right, so
All
I
right.
think we've gone on long enough, and that's that was nice. It was nice talking to you. You know,
Yeah, thanks so much. It was absolutely a pleasure. Thanks for having me on, and I look forward to hearing more episodes of this awesome podcast. Everyone should like and subscribe on YouTube.
yeah, for sure. I hope everybody got something out of this. Uh, that's all we got to say. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for coming on the
Yeah, thanks.
podcast, Zach, for giving your time. That's
Yeah,
about
thanks
it.
for having me.
See y'all.
All right.
Peace.
See you later.